Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Cook with Amore, Cook with Love, the #1 self-care cooking show on the planet. I'm Paola. I'm a qualified chef. I'm a self-care cookery teacher and Italian food expert. And if you're new on this page, or maybe you need reminding, I'm on a mission to get this nation to slow the F down and cook with love. And how do I do that? I help motivate you to love yourself with self-care cooking and easy feel-good Italian delicious. From personal experience, I know if you're a busy person, career, business focused, sometimes though cooking can feel like a real chore. After a long, busy, stressful day, the last thing you want to do is get in the kitchen and cook yourself dinner. Lack of energy, lack of time, feeling guilty to step away from things that you think are important instead of your well-being. I'm here to help you transform and create positive cooking mindset so that cooking no longer feels like a chore, but a desirable, delicious form of self-care. So, as you know, Cook with Amore is a #1 self-cooking show, and we are already in season 2. And for season 2, I'm bringing on guests, experts, to help support the message of the importance of slowing down, loving yourself, and living your best life. And on today's episode, we've got an amazing guest extraordinaire, Chloe Slade, a manifestation and mindset coach, and she'll be coming along to give us some knowledge and tips on the importance of manifestation and mindset. And as you know, mindset's really important in my sector in terms of my job to help you create that positive cooking mindset. So I'm just going to find Chloe. I can see her. Without further ado, let's bring her on.
Hey,
Are you there? Oh, look at you.
can you hear me okay? I'm here.
Brave.
Well, look at you. Look at this lip colour. Do you know what? I think you've got me onto the red lip. I think I'm going to rock it in my
It's
my
the
next
only
way
I live
with the
my
red
life,
dress.
babe. The
Add a
red
little bit of
lippy.
colour.
I could be walking to Tesco's in my PJs, but I will always have my red lippy on. It makes me feel so special. Hello, welcome.
Like that. I like that with lips. Lip liner and eyelashes. That's my
Oh, Chloe, I'm good. Thank you so much for
How are
joining
you?
us on Cook with Amore. We've got half an hour of absolute pure, absolute juice. But I thought before we kick everything off, would you like to tell the audience, everyone here on live, what do you do and how do you help people?
Yeah, so I'm a mind everything to do is helping people become the version of them that attracts what it is that they want, as opposed to obsessing or focusing on the thing itself, because that can then allow you to sort of get a bit too obsessed, focus on the lack, focus of it not being there. So my whole thing is actually focus on the presence of who you'd be if you had that thing already, and then as you become it, you're able to attract
so
it.
obsessed with this whole concept. I said this to you when I was on the phone to you the other day, because I've always known the importance of, like, I've done manifestation, I've done mindset work before, but never in that kind of idea of like stepping into becoming the person so that you can actually be that person that is living your dream and your desires. And I feel like that is something that so many of us need to hear, because I feel like a lot of us wait for like the right time, the motivation, and actually you shouldn't have to wait for it. There's actually things you can do.
Yeah, and I was saying to a client yesterday, I was like, it's sometimes the observation of, like, say you could be 7 months away from attracting everything you want, right? But it's because we're always focusing on, oh, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. The 7 months continues. So when you want a desire, you have something you want in your life, it's actually just shifting that mentality to, okay, how would I maintain that if I already had that? What would I be doing?
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We talk about some juicy things, so that everyone's on here, just so to let you know what we will be touching base on is, like, what are those regular habits that stop people from progressing forward and becoming that person to live their dreams. We'll be also touching on what those symptoms look like, so you may not realize that you're living in that kind of mindset, but Chloe will share what those symptoms could look like, and then we're going to also share tips on how you can then, if you want to make that step today to becoming your new future self, what that would be. So stick around, it's going to be absolutely fabulous. So based on your experience, Chloe, what would you say are those habits that you see regularly in your clients that, you know, it's causing that struggle for them to take that first step to making those dreams come true, or, you know, hitting their goals or achieving their desires?
Yeah, I think it comes down to worthiness. So many of us just don't see ourselves as worthy, capable of actually having that thing. And I always say to people, like, there's a reason why you want that thing in your life. Like, there's a reason why you don't want to be a pro golfer, and there's a reason why you do want to do what you want to do. Unless you're a pro golfer, then, you know, move on from that. But the idea is that you need to trust yourself to actually make the effort to actually do the thing. I think so many of us are so scared of, oh, if I try and don't get it, what will that look like to other people? And what if I don't get it because I don't see myself as someone who gets it? That is the biggest thing. And when you start trusting yourself to go, okay, I actually do think I can do this, and even if I don't, I'm going to move through the fear. I'm going to start playing and start experimenting, and then when it happens, it has that moment of where you've actually followed through with yourself. I think that's something we struggle with on smaller basis as well. Like, we don't do the thing, we go, oh, I'm going to go and cook myself a nice meal, or I'm going to go and move my body, or I'm going to go and do that thing, and then we don't do it for whatever reason, and then we're breaking that promise with ourselves. So if we really want to start building our confidence in ourselves, we need to start actually fulfilling our
I totally agree with you. It's something that I say, and I've been talking about it a lot on my page. It's like, if you look at what you're eating, it can reflect your self-worth. And I know a lot of people, like you say, don't do that thing for many different reasons. For me, I've heard a lot of my clients say in the past, it's just that I don't want to waste my time doing something and it turns out like shit. I'd rather cook something that I know but not maybe pleasure me as much. And it's like, okay, but why do you not think you're worthy to find out? Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're not going on MasterChef. It's in the safety of your own home. And it's about the whole mindset thing. So the fact that you said that, I do necessarily think that worthiness can be reflected. You know, we'll talk about symptoms in a moment, but I do think that's a key one also I see with my clients as well, and people that I talk to.
Yeah, and off the back of it, you said something I really want to pick up on and highlight again, is like the pleasure. It's like denying ourselves a pleasure, and how much we do that in so many different ways, right? And I think that narrative is actually going, you know, one, I'm worth the effort, and two, let myself actually have the pleasure and be in the moment, be present with that. I mean, even if we just take the meal, like the cooking of the meal, the eating of the meal, and feeling good afterwards. So yeah, I think that, and that really feeds into the other one, which was like the narrative of continuing this narrative of like not seeing themselves as someone who does that. Like, oh yeah, but that's what someone else does. Like, someone said to me the other day, they're like, oh, you like make quite a lot of effort for someone who like cooks for themselves and only themselves, and well, apart from friends and that kind of thing. But I'm like, no, like I'm always just chucking food at people's places, like leaving food on people's doorsteps. It's like my thing. Carrot cake recently, yeah. Yeah, there'll just be a plate my friend had the other day, and she was like, there's carrot cake outside my door. Yeah, I made a 5-tier carrot cake for no reason at all. Enjoy. So it is that idea though of actually doing it and making yourself the effort, and then that narrative of actually, no, I am someone that does that, and I am someone who sees myself as worthy. And that then feeds into the third bit, which is like the identity piece. You know, having clarity on what you actually want and why you're doing what you're doing, I think is so key. Because if you know why you're cooking yourself a good meal, or why you're moving your body, or why you're doing the mindset work, then you can see how it paints into that bigger vision. And that's what I mean by hold the vision. Hold the vision is actually do the thing.
Literally, I think, I'm hoping, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this on the live or watch back in the recording will be able to identify with that I can totally put my hands up and tell you that there was a time when I thought I couldn't do what I'm doing now. Like, for me to stand in front of a camera and talk to you, and knowing there's lots of other people watching, I used to tell myself, I'm not that person. I'm not that big a person. I don't have those skills. I don't have the capability. I don't have the confidence. I can remember her years ago. And I did things to take the steps to do it slowly. I mean, I was shitting myself all the time. But when you do it, it's like you said, the narrative, you change the narrative, you actually start doing it and go, hold on, I actually can do that thing. Actually, I'm not that bad at it. Then you build up that confidence and you carry on and you carry on and carry on. And that's where the magic is. I think that's amazing. You've already kind of touched on it, but
I agree.
You know, you're someone who helps people become that person to achieve their desires. How would you say, like, self-care, especially like cooking, can play a role in someone's manifestation and mindset? I mean, you've already kind of touched on it, but is that something that you talk to your clients about?
It comes up so much more than you'd actually think as well, and it's because it's the embodiment piece, right? So much with manifestation and mindset, and it does get a bit of a bad rep, especially now, because people are like, go sit on your sofa, chill out. Like, yes, that's a part of it, but it's also that action of the actual doing in the present moment. So things like cooking yourself a lovely meal is actually the embodiment piece. It's where you're actually signaling to the brain, I am worth it, I am worth it. So
Oh
these
my God,
things like
give
add
me
up,
goosebumps.
right? That's what you're doing, is you're signaling the whole time. Every action you do is either a vote for who you want to be and this version of you in the life that you want to lead, or it negates that. And this is why I talk so much about the self-image, is because it's the image of which you hold. And you start signaling and you start signaling, you go, okay, yep, I'm going to cook myself a good meal. And then your mind's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm worth it, I'm worthy of doing it, right? So it adds up, is what it might not be, that one meal, but the first meal that you ever do, that might be like, wow, actually I felt really good after that. And we create from how we're feeling. So if you're feeling good because you've cooked yourself a good meal, that's going to feed into your business, your friendships, your relationships, your health.
Oh my God,
So on.
you're
It
literally
all ripples
speaking
out.
my language. You're speaking my religion. This is literally what, it's everything I, you know, when I talk to people, because it's interesting, because obviously I started off in the food world, but obviously I've welded into wellness and self-care, and like everything you say, and I think people realize that food isn't just bloody, you know, nourishment. It's not just, you know, to get rid of your daily hunger. It's so powerful that cooking and food can really help you, like you say, create bonds. It can make you feel happy. It can, by eating better, you're being your better self, to be, you know, to put the energy and focus into your business. And everything you just said is like, oh, I literally need to, I'm going to have to capture that at some point. Let's move on to question number 2, or part 2. So if people on here live, or if they watch back in the recording and they're like, okay, well, that may be like all those habits that, you know, I can relate to that, or I understand where you're coming from, but how does that show up in someone? What are those symptoms? So if someone wanted to kind of like reflect on themselves, their time to be like, how do I feel? How does that show up in your clients?
Yeah. Lack of energy, lack of focus. You know, you might have had a whole night's sleep and have 8 hours and be doing all your hydration and doing all the things that, like, the box ticking things to do, and then you're still lacking in energy. And it's because, again, that worthiness box hasn't been ticked, that hasn't been filled up. So lack of energy, low in confidence, lack of focus. Maybe you're doubting yourself a lot more. Maybe like you're second guessing your decisions. You know, think about a confident person, right? Yes, they may not make every single decision that goes well. I think that's the fear, right? Again, what I was saying at the start is that fear of not actually trusting yourself, but it's trusting yourself to be able to navigate it even if you don't make the right decision, right? But when you're not making the little promises to yourself and you're breaking those, you're not sticking to your blind and doing all these things, then, you know, you are struggling to move forward with that. And, you know, you might struggle to invest time and energy and money into yourself, whether, you know, that's doing something like this, you know, cooking, or whether it's doing something completely different. Like, you have to allow yourself to realize these are the things that will be showing up, and ultimately you won't be feeling good. That's the overall
I mean,
sort of
again,
symptom, right?
I think looking back at my personal journey, first of all, I had this feeling of like, I felt like not being able to do it on my own was like a failure, and I was embarrassed. Like, for me, not being able to do all these things, and, you know, didn't want to ask for help was something that I felt like I had to do. And obviously, actually, it was over the last few years, like, I have worked with different coaches and stuff, and realized that the biggest important message is that investing the time and money, you need help to do that. If you want to grow and progress, you're not going to figure all that shit out on yourself. You need other people to help you do that, especially if you've got a block, if you've got a barrier, if something is stopping you from progressing, and you've got that self-doubt and low energy. Girl, that is not just going to happen. You're not going to wake up one day and go, oh, do you know what? Now I'm ready to be the most successful block. You're not. It's not going to happen. You need to invest the time and the money. And some people may not want to hear that, but I think that for me was this, you know, one of the things that really helped me propel forward with my business is working with different people in different areas. Not necessarily, I mean, I qualified as a chef, and yes, that was great, but like, you know, business coaches, marketing coaches, mindset coaches, all to kind of help me become that person I want to be. So I think if anyone on here's watching and they go like, I want to do that, and I know that I need this, but do you know what? I'm going to figure out myself. If you're feeling you don't have the time or energy right now, you need to really think about, I think what you said is so powerful, Chloe, is that, you know, holding yourself back is never, you're not going to propel forward, right?
Yeah. And just to add that, it's like time obviously and money are two things, right? But also the energy part. I think I've seen a question come in somewhere there, but time and energy, time and money are what a lot of people focus on, money being the main one, which is arguably the one that can be built the most, right? Then there's time, which again, unfortunately there we don't actually know how much time we've got. But then energy, we in this moment when we've got it, we've got to harness, because that is finite, that does dwindle through the day. You know, there's only so many choices that you can make, so you need to be making the best choice that you can in that moment. And some days that may not be the most, you know, aesthetically pleasing, like TikTok worthy choice, but if you can get something in you that's feeling good, and you can start working on your mind, and you can start working on moving the needle forward, that ultimately is going to have a compounding effect. And one of my favorite affirmations is like, all of my effort and energy is compounding, right?
Another little goosebump moment.
We love it.
If you do have any questions, please ask us, because we will be here to answer any question. There's a few comments coming through, but please feel free, if any of this resonates with you, please let us know, and we will get back to you later on. So moving on to looking at time. Yeah, so can you share, so if someone on here now is, you know, they've noticed those habits, they've started to notice those symptoms in them, what would you say are some tips that someone could easily walk away from this live today and start implementing to help them make those steps to becoming the person they want to be, to, you know, to live that best life, to achieve their goals?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so grab out a piece of paper, journal, big piece of paper, whatever works for you. 3 columns, right? On the first column, it's this current self, this current version of you. Forget about the middle column for a second. The last column is this next version of you. And I just want you to compare. I want you to go use polarity. Like, for example, if you really need clarity to know where you're going, right? Otherwise, you're just going to go in circles. And that you can be open to how you get there, but you want to be knowing what you actually want. So you look at these 2 columns, you decide, again, ignore the middle one for a second. And then what you're going to do is write out the current version of you, like how you approach things, what's going on, like your current reality, and flip it to what you would want. So if you're like, oh, I don't like how I never really have energy, or I don't feel confident, I'm not making the money that I want to make, I'm not attracting the people that I want to attract, I feel unorganized, get it all down. Then compare that to the version of you that you would like to be, the one that is organized, that makes the money in the way that feels good, that has the relationships, that feels good in themselves, like all of these things, right? So you're going to have these 2 comparisons. Now the middle column, I've been making so blank, is to bridge the gap, right? So it's the little steps, it's what you feel called to do. And I think what happens a lot of the time, my dog's barking apparently, he's got a lot to say as well. What happens a lot of the time is we do this exercise and we go, okay, I know what I want and I know what I'm not at, but then again we focus on the lack. So what I want you to do in that middle column is just go, how can I bridge the gap? How can I start moving forward a little bit? Like what do I feel called to do? Because that's going to tap into your intuition, and that's going to be your first point to like start trusting yourself. So you had that middle point and you go, okay, like maybe I could 1 day a week or 1 day a month start cooking for myself in a way that's really lovely. Maybe 1 day a month. So just going to grab him, we're gonna put him in the live. Hello. There he is. A little. Yeah, do you have a lot to say today? Apparently a lot. So it is about, you know, just bridging that gap between you and thinking just in small amounts, like not thinking about it in this vast, like, oh my god, I'm so separate from where I want to be. It literally is just going, okay, what are the small things that I can do? Let me just move that forward. And then you can start building. All your effort and energy is compounding. You're going to start building confidence in yourself because you're going to keep those promises. You're going to start settling into the brain. And that's what that middle column really is for. And then you can start to connect, like, why do I want this? And this is going to be your key thing. It's like between where you are and where you want to be, your why is going to be the thing that fuels you. And that doesn't need to be this super profound thing. Like, it doesn't need to sound all glossy. It might just be like, I want to be making money in a way that feels good, and I want to feel good in myself every day, and I want to move my body in a way that feels good. That's the sort of the crux of it. And then what you do from there is finally start studying that version. You know, we would study to become a doctor, we would study to become a chef, right? We wouldn't just go, oh, I can't cook XYZ yet. You'd be like, oh, well, I'm studying to become that chef, I'm studying to become her. But what we don't do is do that in ourselves as a whole. So start studying who you want to be, and then you can start playing
I
and
think
bridging
that
the
is
gap.
so powerful. And you said that to me the other day, and I had never thought of it like that before, because I guess for me it's like knowing what I want to be, know where my goals are, know what my life want to look like, but to actually study how to become that person is so profound. And I know a lot of people, I mean, how would you say someone could study someone? Could you give like a tip, like what's a good way to like study someone?
Yeah, start looking at people you admire. Like I said this to you on our phone call. I was always like, I like search your name and look at what you're up to, because I'm like, I just love what you're doing. And then, you know, if I'm thinking about food, for example, and you're holding a cooking club and you're cooking these like amazing dishes, then I can start being like, oh, this is the sort of things that you have in your cupboard. Maybe I can go and have them in my cupboard too. Or maybe I see someone online who is like doing some sort of exercise that looks really fun. Let me go and see if that's something that makes me feel good as well. Like if you're trying to be a six-figure entrepreneur, like what are they doing? Because, you know, you can go onto YouTube and you can find loads. I don't know why we tapped that like that, but we can go on YouTube and we can go and find these examples. And the thing is, it's not about copying people, because there's never going to be a secret sauce. It's about creating your own secret sauce. You might go, oh, that doesn't work for me, I'm not going to do it. Or actually that worked really, really well for me. And by studying and tracking what you're doing and what is and isn't working, you can bridge the gap quicker, because you can start building on it quicker. You can go, oh, okay, so for me, for example, getting to the gym before 4 p.m. has to happen. I'm not someone that goes in the evening. By that point, I'm done, I'm tired, I've done my day. So for me, I know I need to start experimenting with that. Another thing I used to do is not shower at the gym, I'd shower at home. But then in that gap, I'd feel like I'd get distracted, I wouldn't feel like fully like calm. So I started playing around that, showering at the gym. It's a small thing that sounds so insignificant, but again, it's signaling I am worth it, and this is my secret sauce, and this is how I actually get things done.
I have to like thank you straight away for sharing that, because that is, I think, I mean, I know we touched on it before, but I think there'll be people like me who, you know, want to be successful in their career and business, or like, you know, they're stopping them, or they're not stopping, but they're like trying to overcome the barriers to get to somewhere. And that is such a great tip. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure lots of other people will be finding it super useful. I'm going to see, we've got a couple of questions. Okay. Oh no, they're not questions. They're not questions. They're just, so there's someone actually with my surname on here, which is really funny, because I don't think we're related, but I've never met another Majuli before. She's really random. So it's like, it's a guy called Rob Majuli. I thought me and my brother were the only Majulis, and we've got a couple of other second cousins that live in London. Apart from them, ciao, I have some real issues to fight through. Thanks for letting us hear the chat. That's why American culture is so hyper-focused on ruining the dining experience and family style meals. Whoa, I don't know anything about that, but I know that I obviously do like to talk about how the Italian food culture, I think, is beautiful. It's actually been nominated for UNESCO protection. So the Italians are trying to protect the Italian food culture and lifestyle, because it has actually been, there's evidence and research to say that it actually helps improve wellness and well-being. So I do feel like Britain, we do have the tendency to try, I think convenience, time saving, money saving is always quite important, and I feel that's a whole show for another day. But what I wanted to ask you, Chloe, one last thing I wanted to ask you was, you've mentioned, we had to talk about it, and you mentioned that cooking and food was also part of your own personal journey. Is there a specific meal or moment or dish that you can feel like stands out or was pivotal in your own like transformation or becoming that person that you wanted to be?
Yeah, I think my mum made this soup, and I always call it the healing soup. It's full of like so many veggies. It's got pasta in as well. It's great. It's all veggie. It was all like all of the dietary requirement tick boxes. It's just such a lovely, soothing soup, and I always request it whenever I'm ill. I'm like, oh, it's like a magic soup, like a healing soup. And she's like, I'm such a person who like loves to cook for other people. Like that's how I show my love and respect and care for that person. So that for me and my parents and I just exchange food. That's all we do. Like, oh, I brought you this pie. I brought you this honey. Yeah. I love languages. Gift giving, specifically food. So yeah, we have this. But I think when I've always been around food, I was in the kitchen from the age of like 2, not obviously making the big flamboyant dishes, but I was doing things like, you know, mixing stuff and that kind of thing. I think there's one memory that sticks in my head when I was holding a mixing bowl and I really wanted to mix the bowl and it wasn't ready to mix yet, and my mum let go and I just went flying. She didn't realize I was still holding on to it. She didn't mean to, disclaimer. And I just went flying, and that was like the whole point of like, right from the age of 2, she's been wanting to have her own way in the kitchen. So yeah, I don't like people in my kitchen as well. So it's always been this like little thing between me and my mum that, you know, whoever's like kitchen it is, we respect
it's like
that.
safe, so. It's your safe.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit the same as well. My
me.
mum loves to help me, and I'm just like, I feel like my mum's such a, you know, my mum's a real giver, and even though she knows I'm qualified, and I teach people how to cook, she still like comes into the kitchen, goes, can I help with anything? She should be doing it like that, and I'm like, you need to get out straight away because this is my space now. Let me do my thing.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. I can calmly cook with someone if they listen to what I say. Other than that, that's the only time that I'm like, no, this is my rules.
100%. Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, to be honest, obviously I love to teach, but in group thing. But when it's like my own thing, I'm like, we're making my dish. Then, is there anything else you want to add, or before we end today? How could people find you, Chloe? That'd be a good one.
The last thing. Yeah, I think the last thing I'll just add as well, just on top of that, is just really connect to the version of you and why you want it. I think those two things, if you're obviously, they said lots of different things in this, but if you can just connect to like what you actually want and why you want it, that's going to give you a starting point to do all of this work. So yeah, that's what I'll say on that. It's Chloe Slade on Instagram. I have my company account, which is vibe_and_flow, and we have all sorts of things from physical products, digital products. We've got our launch at the moment, which is all about creating yourself image manual, which is a book written on you for you, and this is like a tool that you use to program your subconscious mind, and there's lots of different ways you can enter this entire world. But I think ultimately, like, my last thing I want to say is just like, you're worthy of what you want and you're capable of it because it's started in you. So don't hold back. The actualization process of it is where actually this is
friggin' absolutely. I 100%. I always say, like, you know, everyone has to remember they deserve what they really want. They deserve true happiness. They deserve to put themselves first. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I think people need to be reminding of that, because we live in a world where we're always made to feel like we're second or third or somewhere further down the list. So I'm really glad that you said that. I'm just going to just jump on before I say goodbye. I want to remind everyone, actually it's 8 days before the launch of the Self-Love Cooking Club. I'm super excited. Unique self-care cooking community, and it's essentially what we're talking about today. It's like, I basically help you, motivate you to cook consistently, easy, feel good, healthy dishes. But more importantly, it's about kind of training and transform and create a positive mindset, so that cooking is no longer a chore but a delicious form of self-care. And we've got that as live classes. There's a great group community hub and chat. There's an amazing recipe library with like the most amazing delicious foods. You've always got those recipes on hand whenever you want. The waiting list is open, so go and click on the link in my bio and you can join today. Those on my waiting list will get exclusive. We'll get all the exclusives and bonuses, and I think that's it. Let me Kai, hello. Still dreaming of your lovely recipe. So easy to. Oh, thank you. I hope you're well, love. It's been a long time. We had a great, I think it was obviously during lockdown. I feel like I cooked with a lot of people during lockdown. There was so much time for it. But Chloe, can I just say, you are amazing, and thank you so much for joining me today. This has been just perfect. Like, when I reached out to you, I was like, you're one of the first people on top of my list, because I find you so inspirational, and I feel like, just like everyone on here, please follow Chloe, because she really has helped me think about how I want to, you know, propel myself forward into the world, and just be my better and happier self. So thank you, Chloe, for everything that you do. That's okay. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Bye. There we go. As usual.